Well, let's talk to Sam Miley, Managing Economist and Forecasting Lead at the UK Economic Consultancy, the Centre for Economics and Business Research. Sam, welcome. What is the UK's problem with productivity?
Well, the UK has faced a puzzle when it comes to productivity for some time. Largely since the global financial crisis, productivity growth has been weak. There are many possible drivers of this, including regulatory changes, weak human capital, so an inadequate transfer of knowledge improvements to the economy, and also the taxation structure of the economy. All of this creates a perfect storm for quite weak productivity growth for the UK.
Well, the days are ticking down to the budget. What are the UK government's options to fill this larger-than-expected black hole?
Well, the Chancellor does have several options on the table. The first would be to raise taxes, but she's already ruled out doing so across several of the key options that would have been available there. So in that sense, she may need to look to raise revenue from a number of smaller taxes, or focus on more stealthy measures, such as freezing allowances and the bands at which different tax rates apply. Away from tax, she could also cut spending, which is another likely option. But there she'd also face difficulty from her own party. For instance, earlier this year, there was an attempt to cut the UK's welfare spending, but that was ultimately paused due to backlash from the Chancellor's own colleagues in her party.
Is there any way to avoid breaking the government's manifesto promise? This is the promise it made before coming to power during the election campaign. Is there any way to avoid breaking those promises not to raise taxes?
I think the way for the Chancellor to do this would be to focus on more stealth taxes, which would mean that she's not technically raising taxes on working people as she promised in the manifesto, but is instead raising revenue by broader economic dynamics, such as bringing more people into higher tax brackets as earnings growth increases.
Traditionally around the world, these are called wealth taxes, aren't they? And many economists are critical of their efficiency in bringing in more money.
Well, wealth taxes are a relatively controversial option for fiscal policymakers. The criticism of them tends to be that taxing wealth creation distorts incentives and putting a further fiscal burden on high net worth individuals who tend to be wealth creators and disproportionately support the economy would be a poor decision, because those people could simply leave the economy or otherwise restructure their affairs. So it could well be that the consequences of implementing a wealth tax are actually negative, or at least not as strong as they might appear to be on paper.
Sam, you can't go without distributing some cheer for the Finance Minister, Rachel Reeves. I mean, surely the decline in interest rates means that the money paid on government debt drops, doesn't it?
Well, government debt servicing costs in the UK are really high at the moment, so I would actually cite that as a negative factor around the state of the UK economy at present. Nevertheless, I do agree that the picture isn't entirely negative for the UK right now. Growth this year could come in much faster than the last couple of years, and indeed fall only just short of historical averages. So the Chancellor could at least succeed this year in her pledge to boost the growth outlook.
Sam, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the programme. Sam Miley from the Centre for Economics and Business Research.